Hey everybody, happy hump day. Christian and Cynthia, your fit prescription pros, here with your workout of the week. Today it is back attack. We started with our usual 5 to 7 minute warm up. Our goal here is just to get the heart rate up, get the sweat going, raise up the core temperature. Usually we'll hit a little 5 to 7 minutes of stretching or some light dynamic exercises. And then it's usually to wide grip pull down or wide grip pull up. I went ahead and started with this new lat pull down machine I've never tried. Just had a great feel to it. I did 5 sets, guys. It takes me a while to get warm, so I'll usually do 2 to 3 really light sets, light to moderate, and then on my final 2 sets, that's where I ramp things up and really start to work. You can see I like to take a nice pause at the contraction. I usually do this on almost every exercise, just slow things down a bit. Wifey went ahead and started with assisted pull-ups. Team, if you cannot do 10 good quality pull-ups, just use the assisted pull-up machine. Fellas, swallow your pride, man. Get it done. Any way you can do it, just get it done right. Next, we moved into conventional deadlift. 4 sets of 8 was our target for today. It had been a few weeks since we deadlifted, so we just went with something modest. I think Cynthia went with 205, 4 sets of 8. Typically, we will pyramid up in weight each set, but this week we wanted to just find that weight that felt like it was in the sweet spot. Something that was making us work hard, but not quite pushing the back to the limit, because it had been a while since we deadlifted. Pro tip for you guys, maintain a neutral spine. Notice my spine is straight. I'm not looking up in the mirror. I'm not looking up to the ceiling. You'll often see folks deadlifting and squatting, and they're looking up at the ceiling, and I'm like, what the hell are they looking at? That's a terrible position for the spine if your body's under maximum load. Pro tip, brace the core, drive the feet through the floor, and drive your hips forward while squeezing the glutes. The leg press is not a pull. It's actually a push, and you're pushing with the legs. Next, seated low row on one of our favorite back machines, the Hammer Strength Low Row. Notice how close Cynthia keeps her elbows to her rib cage, and notice how she kind of turns into the rep. She's trying to get as full of a contraction as possible out of this movement. Less weight, more intimately connected with each repetition, and you'll find out you can use far less weight, save those tendons, connective tissues, and joints, and still get the job done. You know, you're looking for a certain level of stimulus, and you don't always have to get that stimulus by piling a bunch of weight on the bar. If you learn how to control the weight, if you learn how to get connected with your target muscles, you don't need nearly as much weight when you train. People are usually surprised to see how light I actually train. So wifey grinding out 4 sets of 10 to 12 on that seated low row. I actually joined her on this one. Guys, for your back routine, we'll usually have some type of a wide grip row, some type of a close grip row. Pro tips for this one, use straps, pull from your lat, not from the bicep. Take a 1 to 2 second pause in there. That's also very helpful. And kind of turn into it. You want to keep the elbow as close to the rib cage as possible. Next one was a cool combo. Dumbbell pullover right into seated reverse grip row. The goal here is to pre-exhaust your lats with the dumbbell pullover, and then when you come to the compound movement to do your rowing, your lats are now already fatigued. So it's almost certain that those lats are going to get a little more work out of the set than they normally would had they not been pre-fatigued. Again, we're looking for ways to make lightweight feel heavy. We're looking for ways to not have to go maximum weight on every exercise. Slowing things down, pausing the contractions, pre-exhausting the muscle. These are all great high-intensity techniques that can lower the amount of weight you're lifting while still giving you the amount of intensity you need to trigger an adaptive response. Pro tip on this one, guys, drive the hips into the floor as you let that dumbbell go back to full stretch. Your hips are going to want to start creeping up. Your job is to push them down into the floor as you go to full stretch. Don't go any further than your shoulders feel like they can tolerate. You want to keep that movement in the comfy zone. Once again, 12 to 15 reps on the pullover, and then straight to the seated row for 12 to 15 reps. Maybe you noticed on Cynthia's little snippet there, we had elevated the seat for her. The goal is, if you have to put a pad on the seat, elevate it. The goal is to set it up so that bar comes right to the belly button or lower. You'll notice I take a nice squeeze, maintain a neutral spine. I'm not looking up to the ceiling. Lat pull downs behind the neck. The goal here is to drive those elbows down and back. You don't want to feel like you're just cranking that bar down using your arms. That's easy. You want to feel like you're contracting from your scapula. Notice how her shoulder blades flare out and then drive down and in. 4 sets of 12 to 15 here for Cynthia. I went with a close grip lat pull down because I had already done my wide grips when we started. Close grip lat pull down is going to target the lower lats a little. I mean, we are physique sculpting after all, so we look at the muscle groups, we look at the shape, if you will, or the aesthetic that we're trying to create with our bodies, and then we just take the exercise that targets that particular area of the body, and we beat it to death. It's a pretty simple formula for success, guys. Figure out the muscles that are lagging, work them hard, and watch them come up to par. Hyperextension, can't forget the lower back. Oh, wifey throwing in the lat spread. You know, I had to get my guns in there. Lower back hyperextensions, 4 sets of 20. Notice how when I hit the full contraction point, I'm kind of driving my elbows back. That's because I'm squeezing my lats as hard as I can. Sure, you can just sit on there like a robot and just go back and forth, not really figuring out what muscles you're using, not really feeling the movement. But again, I'm looking for a way to make modest weight feel heavier than it should. Oh, if you've never tried this, you got to. Dirty 30s on the toe press. 10 reps with the toes pointed inward, rotating the weight onto the ball of the foot. 10 reps with the toes pointed outward, rotating the weight onto the pinky toe. That's going to isolate the inner head of the gastrocnemius. And your final 10 reps, toes pointed straight forward, neutral position, and those last 10 reps are a killer. Trust me on that. So after we got finished with our toe presses, we wanted to hit a little abdominal and calf combo. So it was medicine ball knee tucks for 30 reps. Notice her feet and hands remain floating. And then we were doing, these look silly, but they're hard, unilateral hops, 30 reps on each leg. I think we did 3 sets or so. Cynthia just kind of being silly there. I'm knocking out single leg V-ups as my core movement. 4 sets of 60, that's 30 on each leg for the V-ups. Again, we're just sticking with 1 core movement for each workout. And I do believe that was it, team. Back attack. We hope you liked it. Feel free to give some of those exercises a try. Your Fit Prescription Pros over and out. We'll be back next week with a new workout for y'all. Have a good one, team.